Killer Instinct is an arcade fighting game developed by Rare and published by Midway and Nintendo. The arcade game released in 1994 with a Super Nintendo console port being released a year later. The game was originally planned to be ported to the Nintendo 64, but due to the system being delayed, they instead ported Killer Instinct to both the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy. It was thought that Nintendo would not allow for Killer Instinct to be ported due to the game's violence. However, since the ESRB had already been founded, Nintendo felt it no longer had to be critical of violent video games. The story of the game is set in a bleak future where pollution is rampant and governments have fallen, leaving corporations in control. Ultratech and Mega Corporation started their own battle tournament that is broadcasted on TV called Killer Instinct. Not only does this tournament bring Ultratech high ratings, but it also allows for the company to test out their own weapons. Winners of the tournament are promised whatever they desire, so you have different types of people and creatures from all walks of life entering this tournament for their own reasons. A boxer seeking redemption to an alien creature fighting for his freedom. There are several reasons to fight, but only those with the Killer Instinct will come out victorious. Killer Instinct stood out not just because of its incredible graphics, but because of the way it innovated the fighting game genre. In Killer Instinct, players have double health bars, as opposed to traditional fighting games that use one health bar for each round. Killer Instinct doesn't have rounds, and instead when the health bar is depleted, the character separates similar to when the fight ends a round, and then the players continue the bout. However, the winning player will still use the same amount of health they had before. Another thing Killer Instinct does different is automatic combos. Normally combos are when you use individual attacks strung together to form a combination of attacks. In Killer Instinct, the attacks are automatic, so when you press the correct set of buttons, the character will deliver a combo or a special move. But probably the biggest addition to the game is a combo breaker. Combo breakers are a special move that allows for players to break out of a combo they are trapped in. Speaking of special moves, characters even have a special finisher similar to the fatalities of Mortal Kombat. So while the game did have its own unique feature, the game still played like your traditional fighting game. Killer Instinct has 10 playable characters to pick from, which then both players use to face off against each other for a set amount of time until a character is depleted of their health. The characters in the game range from Ninja Jago, the Werewolf Saberwolf, and the sword and shield wielding Skeletal Spino, just to name a few. The arcade mode puts you against all of the characters from the game, leading up to an intense boss fight before being crowned the winner and shown a small cutscene of what the character did after winning the tournament. Each character has a different cutscene, encouraging players to try to finish the game with all of the characters to see how the story concludes, depending on which character won. The music of the game was composed by Robin Beelan and Graham Norgate. There was a musical CD called Killer Cuts, which contained music from the game, which was bundled with the first 100,000 copies of Killer Instinct. While the SNES version of the game was greatly downgraded from the arcade version, the game still met with great reception, selling over 3 million copies. Electronic Gaming Monthly wrote an article on fighting games referring to Killer Instinct as the undisputed king at the arcades. Despite the great sales, some critics felt the port was too greatly downgraded from the arcade version and only gave SNES version an average game review. However, not everyone agreed with those claims and felt the game was still enjoyable, even if it fell a little short from the arcade predecessor. Even today, modern retro reviewers are still praising Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo, with ScrewAttack.com ranking Killer Instinct in their top 20 SNES games and ranking it 5th in the best fighting games of all time.
That's it for this episode of Game Overview. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to the Game Rangers for more videos.